Okay, guys. Day 6, no weed, but it's not no coffee. You know what I'm saying? Looking kind of homeless right now. Kind of look like a hipster a little bit, actually. When the forehead is showing like this, that goes harder. So day 6, I believe. So I do want to talk about weed and not smoking it. You know, the thing about giving up weed or like anything that you like is that there's always going to be a good reason to smoke weed. I'm just going to use weed as a catch-all here. Obviously, this applies to many different things, but we're talking about weed here. Excuse me. So, there's always going to be a good reason to smoke weed, you know? Maybe somebody gives you some weed, your friend has some weed, everybody else around you is smoking weed, your dog just died, your dad's in the hospital, he's got cancer, your tummy hurts. You're always going to have a good reason to smoke weed. But you can't let that stop you from not smoking weed. You can't let the fact, you have to be consistent when it comes to these kind of challenges. Now, obviously some people really they lose their mind over the idea of going cold turkey for a long amount of time. But I think it's a good mental practice, like a discipline, to go completely without something that you love. You know, it's a worthy sacrifice, let's say. And so what I'm saying here is that there is such a thing as moderation. There is such a thing as enjoying this weed in a controlled way. But there's always going to be a good reason to smoke weed. And when you make a commitment to yourself like this one, you can't let any of those reasons actually make you break your promise to yourself. I've talked about this before. I forget what video it is, or if it's even in a video, but when you say you're gonna do something and then you don't do it, you're kind of breaking your own trust, you know? You're kind of becoming a less trustworthy person to yourself, if that makes sense. So if you say I'm not gonna smoke weed for 100 days and then you smoke weed on day 5, then it's just you know, you're a liar in some ways. You're a liar. I wouldn't say you're a liar, but you did break that promise. You know, you threw in the towel and you kind of let yourself down. So there's always going to be a good reason to smoke weed, especially when you're trying to go without it for long periods of time. But if you're really committed to something and you want to see something all the way through, you can't let any of that make you smoke weed. And you have to start looking for reasons not to smoke weed, you know? You have to start, all my friends are smoking weed, so I should smoke weed. But at the same time, you could also look at it like, it doesn't hurt to be the sober guy at the function. It's not the worst thing ever, you know? Sometimes it's actually kind of cool. It's kind of cool to be the not high guy, you know? The only one that's not high on weed. I don't know, it's not that bad. So I'm bringing all this up because I recently saw my boys. Shout outs to the boys. And, there was weed. And I really wanted to smoke it. And I said, guys, should I smoke this weed? And they said, no, you shouldn't. You shouldn't smoke this weed. And you know what? If they had said yes, I probably would have had some. But I'm really glad that they didn't, because I would have let you guys down, and that would have made me feel bad. So it worked out. But what I'm saying is, the temptation to smoke marijuana is strong, you know? It's a very strong temptation. And there's always going to be little traps along the way. And you just have to be mindful of those traps and just really see it through. And now, at this point, I feel more committed to this than ever. Because the further you go, the more you realize it's actually kind of important. It's actually kind of important that I see it through the 100 days. I don't know why. But the support I've been given so far, it's not even that big of a deal. Let's be real here. Like 100 days no weed is kind of whatever, but it is kind of becoming a journey of sorts, and we're only on day 5, so it's I think it is important for me anyway. I mean, like in a transcendent way. You know, I don't think not smoking weed for 100 days is going to improve my life in any drastic way, but I think it means something, you know. And I'm not sure what, but you know, I'll keep you guys updated on that. So what I'm saying here is that, to conclude, in conclusion, whenever you commit yourself to not doing something, to giving up, to sacrifice, let's say, whenever you commit yourself to sacrifice, there's going to be a bunch of reasons preloaded. Excuse me. There's going to be a bunch of reasons and all this stuff preloaded that says you shouldn't make this sacrifice, you know, and you have to just let that shit pass because you need to stay committed to your sacrifice and keep that promise to yourself, in my opinion. So day 6, no weed, almost at the 1 week mark, which is excellent. And then what? How many weeks are in 100 days? Like 100 days is like 3 months. Ooh, that's like 12 weeks. That sucks. Okay, we got like 11 weeks to go. Okay, we can do it. Okay, day 6, no weed. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.